Welcome back to The Devil's in the Details, the podcast where we dig into the nitty-gritty of the things we think we know and uncover the truths behind the myths. I'm your host, Glenn Norman, and today we're talking about fingerprints, those unique swirls and ridges on your fingerprints that have been a cornerstone of forensic science for over a century. But how much do we really know about fingerprints? To kick things off, I brought in our resident civilian, Hadlin Lee, to see what she knows about fingerprints. Hadlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Hadlin, let's start with a simple question. What do you know about fingerprints and how they're used in forensic analysis?
Well, I know that everyone's fingerprints are unique. No two people have the same fingerprints and not even identical twins. And I've seen on TVs that detectives can just scan a fingerprint at a crime scene and run it through the database and boom, you got their suspect. And it seems pretty straightforward if I'm being honest.
See, the idea that fingerprints are completely unique to each person, while it's mostly true, it's not as absolute as we've been led to believe. Recent research has actually shown that fingerprints from different fingers of the same person can be surprisingly similar. You see, a 2024 study published in Science Advances used deep learning models to analyze fingerprints and found that ridge orientation, the way the ridges flow near the center of the fingerprint, is actually a key factor in determining similarity. So while fingerprints are still a powerful tool, they are not as infallible as we once thought.
Wait, so you're saying that fingerprints from the same person can look alike? That's wild. I always thought they were totally different.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Another big myth is that fingerprint analysis is this quick, automated process where a computer does all the work. In reality, it's a lot more hands-on. Forensic examiners have to carefully analyze the clarity of the fingerprint, which can be affected by things like the surface it was left on or how smudged it is. See, a 2013 study in Forensic Science International introduced a brand new method for assessing fingerprint clarity, and it showed that examiners often have to make subjective judgments about how clear a print is before they can even start comparing it to others. This portion of today's video is sponsored by Jeff. Jeff is a leading fingerprint analyst. And today, he's here to give a quick PSA to every film director out there. You can't scan a fingerprint and instantly match it to some random citizen. This technology to automatically scan a fingerprint and analyze every single ridge and curve simply doesn't exist in today's technology. Until now. Researchers at Columbia University have been training an AI model to carefully analyze patent, latent, and even partial fingerprints. Someday, this technology could be used across the globe to make crime scene investigation much shorter and significantly more accurate. Some scientists predict this technology could change the landscape of criminal investigation forever. So, to any criminals out there, it's time to buy some gloves. Jeff would like to thank you for your attention. Now back to the program.
Oh, so it's not just the computer matching things up?
Nope. In fact, the process is called ACE-V. This stands for Analysis, Comparison, Evaluation, and Verification. And it involves multiple steps where human examiners play a critical role. And even then, errors can happen. See, a 2015 review in Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society highlighted that fingerprint analysis is a lot more subjective, and it can be influenced by bias. That's why courts are starting to demand much more transparency, as well as statistical models to back up fingerprint evidence.
Dang, I didn't know it was so complicated.
It really is. And here's another layer. To reduce errors, some forensic labs are now using something called collective intelligence. A 2020 study in cognitive research found that when small groups of fingerprint examiners work independently and then pool their judgments, they're significantly more accurate than a single examiner working alone. This approach has been shown to nearly eliminate errors, which is a huge step forward in forensic science.
That's amazing. It sounds like there's a lot more to fingerprint analysis than I ever realized.
Absolutely. So, to recap, fingerprints are incredibly useful, but they're not the instant, perfect tool we see on TV. They require careful analysis, they can be influenced by human bias, and they are much more reliable when multiple experts work together. It's a fascinating field that's constantly evolving, and it's a great example of how the devil really is in the details.
Thanks for breaking it down for me. I feel like I've learned a lot today, actually.
And thank you for joining us, Hyland, and thank you to our listeners for tuning into the Devils in the Details. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, stay curious.